The feeling is unmistakable. A systemic instability where everything you once relied upon seems to be simultaneously fracturing. Perhaps your career path suddenly hit a dead end, a significant relationship dissolved unexpectedly, or the fundamental beliefs you held about your future evaporated into thin air. This acute sensation of profound loss and structural breakdown can be paralyzing, leading many to believe they are failing, that they have made critical errors, or that the universe is punishing their ambition. This script is dedicated to reframing that painful narrative, inviting you instead to recognize this profound collapse not as an ending, but as the unmistakable, highly intense signal that you are right on the precipice of an immense reality shift, preparing to step onto a higher energetic timeline aligned with your truest, expanded potential. This experience, often termed the dark night of the soul on a grander infrastructural scale, is the necessary consequence of outgrowing the reality you meticulously constructed years ago. That old structure was perfectly suited for the person you were, but it is far too small, too restrictive, and too low in vibration for the magnitude of the person you are becoming now. The cosmic architecture is initiating a forced demolition because the foundations cannot support the new abundant dwelling you are destined to inhabit. Understanding the mechanism behind this chaotic clearing is paramount to moving through it successfully, ensuring you don't retreat back to comfort just when the breakthrough is imminent. We are going to dissect the 6 core truths of this transition, examining why collapse is necessary for expanded awareness, the sacred meaning of the chaos, the definitive signs that prove you are shifting rather than failing, and the powerful techniques to stabilize your core consciousness during this volatile yet incredibly fertile time. Recognize that the immense pressure you feel is the compression required for diamond formation. You are not meant to fix the old house, you are meant to burn it down and build a cathedral. This journey requires profound trust and conscious awareness. We invite you to stay with us until the very end, as the strategies we share for grounding yourself are essential for navigating the final, most intense stages of this transformation without succumbing to the temptation of giving up. Before we dive into the core concepts, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. Tell us your city and state, so we can collectively recognize the global nature of this spiritual transition. Breakdowns are not accidental. They are precisely calibrated structural failures designed by your higher self and the governing universal intelligence to free you from constraints you were consciously unable to release. These breakdowns occur specifically when the architecture of your current life, be it your professional identity, relationship dynamics, or financial patterns, can no longer withstand the immense pressure exerted by your soul's continuous, unstoppable trajectory toward growth and expanded awareness. Imagine a butterfly attempting to emerge from a cocoon made of steel. The container, no matter how safe it once felt, must shatter violently if the entity within is to survive and fully realize its winged potential. The old structures often represent safety, familiarity, and a set of conditioned beliefs inherited from society or family, trapping you within a vibrational frequency that is fundamentally incompatible with your newly activated energetic signature. This incompatibility creates systemic friction, a constant energetic grinding, until the entire structure must give way. You might experience this friction as sudden dissatisfaction with a previously stable career, a feeling of deep meaninglessness in activities that once provided validation, or the realization that your closest bonds are now draining rather than nourishing your spirit. When collapse manifests in the physical 3D world, it is simply the material echo of a profound shift that already took place within your internal landscape. Your awareness expanded first, perhaps through intense meditation, sudden spiritual realization, or deep psychological processing. Once the inner landscape shifted and your consciousness ascended to a higher vantage point, the lower vibrational, restrictive reality that once surrounded you became unstable and began to disintegrate. The physical collapse is merely the universe catching up to the powerful transformation you have already completed internally. This is the point where the conscious mind screams, "Catastrophe," while the soul recognizes release. It is imperative that you maintain this perspective during the intense deconstruction phase. Do not attempt to staple the old walls back together or apologize for the shattering sound they make as they fall. If you are serious about entering the reality of abundance and alignment waiting for you, you must allow the old reality to fully dissolve, trusting that the universe has a blueprint for the grander structure. If this realization resonates with the deep knowing within you, please take a moment right now to subscribe to the channel and join our community, dedicated to conscious transformation. The discomfort you feel is the direct result of having nowhere to land, because the familiar terrain has been wiped clean. This void is necessary because if you had immediate, comforting replacements for the collapsing elements, you would inevitably recreate a slightly modified version of the prison you just left, trapping yourself in a cycle of subtle repetition rather than radical reinvention. The universe demands a clean slate so that the foundations of the new reality can be built upon pure, authentic intention, uncontaminated by past conditioning or fear-based security measures. Consider that the things breaking down, your job security, your predictable routines, your defined identity, were functioning primarily as anchors, tethering your expansive future self to a contracted past timeline. The moment you decide, consciously or unconsciously, to prioritize freedom and authentic expression over comfort and security, those anchors must be cut. The process feels dramatic because the energy stored in those anchors is being rapidly released, creating turbulence and the feeling of freefall, but the objective is always upward momentum. The deepest energetic meaning of this collapse is integration. The universe is forcing the integration of your shadow material and your higher self, demanding that you look directly at the fear of instability and the underlying belief systems that created the need for that rigid old structure in the first place. You are being asked to become a master alchemist, transforming the debris of the past into the raw material for your future, acknowledging that true stability does not come from external circumstances, but from unwavering internal self-trust. This process is highly personalized. What collapses for one person might be their career, while for another it's a lifelong limiting relationship pattern. Yet the underlying mechanism is identical. The outdated support system is dissolved because the new support system requires a foundation based on self-love, sovereignty, and high vibrational alignment, which were impossible to fully establish while clinging to the old low vibrational contracts. This collapse is the universe's definitive statement that the contract is null and void. Ultimately, recognize the extraordinary strength required to initiate a structural breakdown of this magnitude. This is not happening to you, it is happening for you, driven by the immense non-negotiable requirement of your soul to achieve its highest potential in this lifetime. The severity of the collapse often reflects the magnitude of the transformation awaiting you. Trust the process, embrace the void, and know that you are shedding the skin of a life that was never truly meant to be your final destination. Chaos is universally misunderstood as disorder. In the context of reality shifting, chaos is the fertile, transitional state of pure, undifferentiated potential. Psychologically, this state manifests as a rapid dissolution of the ego's foundational pillars, the outdated beliefs, rigid identities, and emotional attachments that defined who you were in the old reality. This internal dismantling is jarring because the ego is inherently resistant to extinction, fighting fiercely to maintain structure and control, interpreting the breakdown of identity as a threat to survival rather than an invitation to rebirth. This is why you might experience profound mental fog, emotional volatility, or an overwhelming sense of loss, even though nothing tangibly tragic has occurred. You are grieving the death of an outdated self. The chaos forces you to confront the stories you told yourself about your capabilities, your worth, and your place in the world. When the external feedback loop, job title, relationship status, financial metrics, that once validated these stories disappears, the true, authentic self, often buried beneath layers of conditioning, finally has a chance to breathe, albeit through the dust of demolition. Energetically, chaos is the clearing of stagnation. Every attachment to an outcome, a person, a habit, or an idea carries a vibrational weight. When those attachments are forcibly removed or dissolved by the universe, the energetic body undergoes a massive purge. This is the energetic detox of the soul, characterized by bursts of high energy, followed by sudden, paralyzing exhaustion, and the sudden emergence of past trauma or emotional debris that needs final processing. The turbulence is the energy field rapidly adjusting to a higher frequency. The transition state is fundamentally messy because creation requires the mixing and breaking down of elements before they can coalesce into a new form. This is the quantum soup stage of your life. The universe has hit the reset button, taking all the scattered parts of your life and identity and throwing them back into a neutral, highly mutable state. This is frightening because the human mind requires definition, but the chaotic, undefined state is precisely where the maximum potential for rapid manifestation resides, unconstrained by linear expectations. The intensity of the chaos is a direct reflection of how deeply entrenched you were in the old reality. The more you relied on external validation or the structures of the past for self-worth, the more dramatic the necessary unraveling must be to fully free your consciousness. Embrace this turbulence not as failure, but as a deep, transformative cleaning process, knowing that the severity indicates the universe's commitment to delivering you into a life of authentic fulfillment, even if the current journey feels like sailing through a hurricane. This period requires radical non-resistance. The urge to impose order or to quickly fill the void created by the collapse must be consciously suppressed. Trying to control chaos only prolongs the dissolution process, leading to greater frustration and reinforcing the ego's desire for linear certainty. Instead, practice radical acceptance of the fluidity, allowing the dissolving nature of your attachments to proceed unimpeded, viewing yourself as a conscious witness to the necessary breakdown rather than its victim. The dissolution of outdated attachments, which are often energetic cords tethering you to lower vibrations, is paramount here. The chaos breaks the patterns of codependency, scarcity thinking, and self-sabotage by removing the familiar circumstances that triggered them. You are being granted the space to observe these patterns in their naked form, allowing you to choose a new response rooted in sovereignty and self-worth, thus cutting the energetic cord permanently and paving the way for higher vibrational relationships and opportunities. Viewing chaos as the fertile dark earth is the key perspective shift. In the absence of form, everything is possible. The chaos is stripping away the illusion of limitation, showing you that the structures you thought were permanent were merely temporary energetic configurations. This transitional period is the most powerful time for conscious visualization and intention setting, as the field is fluid and highly responsive to your core beliefs and dominant energetic vibration. The energetic meaning is ultimately one of purification. You are being prepared vibrationally for the influx of new abundance and alignment that the shift will bring. If the new reality, characterized by higher love and profound success, were introduced into the old, cluttered, chaotic energetic field, it would simply be repelled or corrupted. The current chaos ensures that when the abundance arrives, your energetic vessel is clean, resonant, and capable of holding the magnitude of the blessing without collapsing under the weight of fear or disbelief. When you are deep within a reality shift, the signs of transition are almost always misinterpreted by the conventional mind as failure, regression, or bad luck. One of the primary indicators is the sudden and often painful relational pruning. Old friendships or established professional connections that were previously central to your life suddenly become distant, strained, or disappear entirely. This is not abandonment, it is energetic divergence. Your increased frequency makes sustained connection with lower vibrational individuals physically and emotionally unsustainable, requiring the clearing of space for soul-aligned connections to enter. Another clear sign of shifting, not failing, is the amplified emotional depth. You might experience intense periods of grief, anxiety, or deep, unexplainable melancholy, not attached to any current external event. This is the psychological mechanism releasing trapped energy from past traumas and outdated emotional contracts that need to be cleared before the new reality can anchor. These intense emotions are residual energetic material surfacing for final processing, indicating the depth of the integration occurring beneath the surface of daily life. Situational indicators are also dramatic: the loss of a secure job, the forced move from a long-term home, or a major financial setback that requires complete rethinking of your security framework. These are profound external redirections, often orchestrated through synchronicity that appears disastrous initially. The job collapse, for example, is the universe moving you out of a field that offered comfort but stifled your soul's purpose, forcing you onto a path that will eventually lead to authentic contribution and financial abundance far exceeding the old benchmark. The feeling of profound isolation, where you feel disconnected from everyone and everything, is also common. It feels like failure, like you have done something wrong to push people away or lose your foothold, but it is precisely the moment of maximum introspection and energetic autonomy necessary for the shift. Are you currently experiencing this deep feeling of isolation, where your old support system feels distant or unavailable? Share your experience in the comments below. Furthermore, an increase in vivid symbolic dreams and an undeniable surge in synchronistic events, even if the synchronization seems to point toward more disruption, are powerful spiritual signs of reality transition. Your subconscious mind is rapidly processing the shift in energetic reality, communicating through powerful symbolism, while the universe is using synchronicity to guide your next steps, even if those steps involve dismantling existing structures to clear the runway for the new reality's manifestation. The overwhelming urge to simplify, discard, or declutter your physical and mental space is a manifestation of the energetic requirement for a clean slate. You suddenly find that you cannot stand clutter, noise, or anything that feels inauthentic or heavy. This is your high vibrational self-demanding alignment between your inner state and your outer environment, signaling that you are actively purging the low vibrational residue associated with the previous reality that you have consciously transcended. Perhaps the most potent sign is the unshakable inner knowing that something profound is happening, even if the external evidence suggests disaster. This deep intuition overrides the panic and fear of the ego, offering quiet assurance that everything is unfolding perfectly, often accompanied by brief, overwhelming moments of peace or ecstatic certainty, which serve as energetic preview snapshots of the reality you are transitioning into. Hold on to those fleeting moments of inner alignment as proof of your trajectory. When you notice your old coping mechanisms suddenly failing, the distractions no longer work, the comforting habits no longer soothe, this is the universe confirming that you have structurally outgrown those lower vibrational fixes. You are being forced to develop new, self-sustaining, high-vibrational methods of self-regulation and emotional management, which are crucial skills for maintaining stability and manifesting consciously in the new, higher-frequency reality you are entering. Finally, the realization that you are fundamentally unable to tolerate anything that lacks authenticity, even if it offers temporary security, is the ultimate confirmation of your shift. Your capacity for settling has completely eroded. This refusal to compromise your inner truth, even when facing uncertainty, demonstrates that your core energetic vibration is now permanently anchored in sovereignty, proving you are not failing the old reality, but successfully graduating from it and moving into the reality of authentic self-expression. Uncertainty is the essential lubricant of transformation. It is the state where fixed expectations are dissolved, allowing the infinite potentialities of the quantum field to rush in. The human mind, operating from a deep need for predictability rooted in survival mechanisms, perceives uncertainty as danger, driving us to grasp for control. However, true reality change cannot occur while the ego maintains a stranglehold on the outcome, demanding that the new reality conform to the logical, linear patterns of the past. The presence of profound uncertainty, not knowing where the money will come from, who you will be with next month, or what your professional title will be, is a divine disruption of your control patterns. If you knew the exact blueprint for your future, you would inevitably try to manage the Construction using the limiting tools and blueprints from your past, thus recreating a similar restrictive structure. Uncertainty forces radical surrender, acknowledging that the universe's intelligence far surpasses your limited human perspective. Uncertainty is literally the space of creation, the blank canvas. When you are operating in a state of rigid certainty, you are essentially vibrating in a closed loop, predicting tomorrow based on yesterday, severely limiting the creative influx of new possibilities. By forcing you into an open state of, "I don't know," the universe creates a vacuum that is instantaneously filled by potentials that existed outside the realm of your previous imagination or logical expectation, leading to genuinely novel and expansive outcomes. The most difficult aspect of navigating uncertainty is differentiating between not knowing the how and losing sight of the why. You must hold firm to the vibrational frequency of your desired outcome, abundance, love, freedom, while remaining radically detached from the specific path or timeline the universe utilizes to deliver it. This practice requires deep emotional intelligence and the ability to tolerate the discomfort of the present moment without panic or reactionary movement. The paradox of change is that the moment you become truly comfortable with being uncomfortable, the foundation for the new reality begins to stabilize. Uncertainty tests your faith not just in the universe, but in your own intrinsic value. If you trust that you are worthy of abundance, regardless of your current external circumstances, the uncertainty loses its power to paralyze you. It becomes an exciting field of infinite potential rather than a terrifying void of loss. Every moment spent resisting uncertainty is a moment spent attempting to lock yourself back into the old reality, which by necessity has to break down. This resistance manifests as overthinking, fear-based strategizing, and anxiety. The only way forward is through a radical, conscious surrender to the flow, accepting that your current job is not to build, but merely to remain open and receptive to divine guidance, recognizing the next small step when it is illuminated. Uncertainty is the universe's way of ensuring that your manifestation is truly aligned with your soul, not your programmed ego. If you were certain, you would chase what society defines as success. Because you are uncertain, you are forced inward, listening to the subtle whispers of your intuition and the energetic pull of your highest self, ensuring that the next step you take is authentically driven by joy and purpose rather than fear of lack. Embracing the state of not knowing breaks the cycle of trying to control life and allows life to truly begin flowing through you, guiding you towards synchronistic moments and aligned connections that you could never have orchestrated through sheer willpower. This state of non-attachment is the energetic signature of mastery, demonstrating your willingness to allow the universe to move mountains on your behalf, unburdened by your need for specific blueprints. Thus, view uncertainty as a powerful act of faith. It signifies the moment you stop fighting the necessary, collapse and begin to cooperate with the expansive architecture of your future. It is proof that you are ready to receive something far greater than anything you could have logically planned for, requiring you to step off the familiar edge and trust the gravitational pull toward your new, higher vibrational reality. The impulse to quit is often the most convincing illusion presented to the psyche just before the major breakthrough. When the collapse reaches its apex, the pressure becomes unbearable. The uncertainty peaks and the ego, desperate for relief, proposes retreat back into the comfortable familiarity of the old realities. Patterns, even if those patterns were painful or restrictive. Quitting, in this context, is not resting or taking a pause. It is the conscious decision to abandon the new, high-vibrational trajectory in favor of reverting to known, low-vibrational solutions. Giving up is the act of reinforcing the energetic patterns you are trying to transcend. When you retreat, you are affirming the belief that transformation is too hard, that you are not capable of managing the chaos, and that safety lies only in limitation and contraction. This immediately locks your consciousness back into the familiar, restrictive frequency of the past, halting the forward momentum of the shift and necessitating a repetition of the entire painful collapse cycle at a later, potentially more intense, date. The universe often presents the most significant tests of endurance right before the final stabilization of the new reality. This is the ultimate crucible designed to test the depth of your commitment to your highest self and your desire for freedom. When the breakdown is most profound and you feel the most defeated, that is the clear sign that you are standing at the threshold. Quitting here means accepting the illusion that the suffering was meaningless, thereby negating the intense inner work you have already completed. The psychological comfort offered by retreat is the greatest danger, as it distracts you from the proximity of the breakthrough. If you have been following along and finding profound clarity in these concepts, type the word threshold in the comments right now to anchor your commitment to staying the course and moving through this critical final stage of transformation. We must understand that transformation is non-linear. It involves dramatic dips in energy and mood, even when progress is being made. The feeling of giving up is usually just a temporary, low vibrational echo of the old reality attempting to pull you back down into its frequency through guilt, doubt, and fear. By refusing to act on that feeling, by choosing conscious patience and endurance, you break the habitual response pattern and solidify your new identity as someone who perseveres through spiritual darkness. When you refuse to quit, you send an undeniable energetic signal to the universe. My intention for this higher reality is non-negotiable. This unwavering commitment acts as a magnetic force, rapidly pulling the necessary resources, people, and synchronicities into your experience to complete the shift. The new reality stabilizes only when your internal commitment is stable and unshakable, regardless of the temporary turbulence surrounding you. The perceived lack of tangible evidence that the shift is working is another major trigger for the quitting impulse. Remember that manifestation often works like a seed underground. The most critical foundational growth happens in the darkness, unseen, requiring patience and sustained faith. Quitting at this stage is like digging up the seed right before the sprout emerges, denying yourself the harvest simply because you couldn't perceive the subterranean process. The distinction between resting and quitting is crucial. Resting is a conscious act of emotional regulation and self-care, performed with the intention of regaining energy to continue the journey. Quitting is a fear-based action of regression, shutting down the process entirely due to discomfort. Learn to honor the need for rest without compromising the integrity of your forward-moving intention toward the new abundant reality. Therefore, recognize the urge to quit as the final, desperate attempt by the old reality to maintain its hold on your consciousness. Instead of succumbing, use that powerful emotional friction as the fuel to push through the last layer of resistance, knowing that the structural stability and abundance of the new reality are waiting. Immediately on the other side of this intense period of darkness and dissolution, stabilization during profound reality shifts is not about halting the chaos, but about finding unwavering stillness within the storm, anchoring your consciousness in the present moment rather than projecting into fear-based futures or regretting the past. The first critical step is perspective reframing, consciously and repeatedly reminding yourself that every single breakdown is a breakthrough in disguise. Instead of seeing the job loss as failure, reframe it instantly as space created for alignment. This proactive mental management stabilizes your emotional state. The second core technique involves rigorous emotional regulation through conscious patience. During the volatile dissolution phase, emotions can feel overwhelming. Do not judge the anger, grief, or fear. Instead, acknowledge the emotion fully, locate it within the body, and consciously breathe into it, releasing the charge without attaching a narrative of failure or tragedy. True patience is not passive waiting. It is the active, deliberate choice to tolerate high levels of discomfort without reacting to them externally. Grounding rituals are non-negotiable for maintaining energetic stability when external structures are dissolving. Connect with the physical world daily. Walk barefoot on the earth, earthing. Immerse yourself in cold water. Or engage in rhythmic physical activity that pulls your consciousness out of the anxious mental loop and back into the body. These practices regulate the nervous system, which is highly stressed by the energetic adjustment, ensuring you remain connected to the solidity of the present moment. Stabilizing your energy field requires accepting the intensity of the transition without attempting to suppress the truth of your experience. Allow yourself to feel the disorientation fully, then use tools like journaling or conscious movement to release the energetic residue. If this deep, practical wisdom is guiding you through your own collapse and shift, please take a second right now to like this video and share it with someone who needs this perspective. Conscious patience involves developing an absolute trust in divine timing. Recognize that the timeline for rebuilding is never under your control, and attempting to rush the process only adds vibrational friction. Practice saying, "I am exactly where I need to be, and everything is unfolding perfectly for my highest good," even when your mind vehemently disagrees. This practice retrains your subconscious to move from a place of scarcity and urgency to one of abundant flow and trust. Prioritize energetic hygiene fiercely. This means maintaining strict boundaries against low vibrational inputs. Limit exposure to negative news, avoid conversations that reinforce scarcity or fear, and minimize time spent with individuals who drain your energy or constantly remind you of the old reality. Protecting your energetic field during dissolution is crucial because you are highly permeable and susceptible to external fears. Focus on the small victories and celebrate the capacity you have developed for resilience. Instead of focusing on the immense scope of what has collapsed, focus on the fact that you woke up today and are consciously choosing to remain committed to your higher path. This conscious acknowledgement of resilience builds the necessary self-trust that will form the foundation of your new reality, shifting your dominant vibration from victimhood to conscious creation. A powerful stabilization technique is the use of future self-immersion. Spend time daily visualizing and feeling the reality you are transitioning into. Do not focus on the how, but on the emotional state of the new reality, the freedom, the peace, the fulfillment. When fear rises, consciously step into the energetic reality of your stabilized future self, allowing that higher frequency to override the anxiety of the present transition. Ultimately, stabilization comes through radical self-compassion. The process of deep transformation is exhausting and requires profound reserves of energy. Treat yourself with the utmost kindness, recognizing that you are essentially undergoing spiritual open-heart surgery. Allow for periods of deep rest, forgive your moments of regression, and hold the unwavering faith that your endurance now is the direct investment in the glorious stability and abundance of the reality waiting for you. The painful truth we must accept is that growth is inherently disruptive. The feeling that everything is collapsing is not a catastrophic failure of your path, but rather the highly charged, vibrational sound of a ceiling being removed, a sound that heralds the arrival of expansive new possibilities. You are not meant to repair the limitations of the past. You are being rigorously prepared, psychologically and energetically, to inhabit a reality defined by higher purpose, authentic connection, and profound abundance. Do not mistake the darkness of the transition phase for the destination. The chaos is the mechanism of liberation. By dissolving outdated contracts and forcing you into the fertile void of uncertainty, the universe is ensuring that the new life you build is founded not on fear or societal conditioning, but on the unshakable truth of your sovereign, powerful self. The signs of relational pruning and situational collapse are simply energetic evidence that your frequency has risen too high for the old structures to contain. Hold fast to your commitment. You are precisely where the most important work is being done. This moment requires immense courage and conscious endurance. You have come too far to revert now. The pressure you feel is the compression before the leap. Choose radical trust over debilitating fear, and choose conscious patience over the impulse to quit. Recognize that the transformation is complete only when the new reality has fully stabilized, and the time between the total collapse and the total manifestation is the ultimate test of your spiritual maturity. We invite you to reflect deeply on your journey. What is the one old belief system that the current collapse is forcing you to finally surrender? What is the single biggest sign you are shifting, not failing? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. If this message served as an anchor for you during a time of intense change, Hit the subscribe button and join our community as we consciously step together into the new realities awaiting us.